All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. If everybody would please turn off all cell phones, pagers, or anything else that would make a noise during the meeting. Ms. Stevens, can you please do a roll call?
Ms. Moore is absent. Mr. Wright is absent. Mr. Lopez?
Here.
Sheridan?
Here.
Ms. Hughes is absent. Pollock?
Here.
Mr. Adele Michael?
Here.
All right. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to the minutes?
No, sir. Mr. Chair, I make a motion to accept the minutes as is. Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call it to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? For the record, let it show that it was a 4-0 approval of the minutes. All right, the next item is public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on any items not on the agenda today? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comments. Okay, the next item is public meeting items. Anybody wishing to speak on any items on the agenda with the exception of the applicant? Seeing none, I'll close that. Okay, so we're going to go to the public hearing items. The first item is ordinance number 1590, CPA Oviedo Luxury Living. Would the applicant please present the project?
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. My name is Rebecca Wilson. I'm with the law firm Lowndes, Drostick, Doster, Cantor, and Reed, and I represent the Klein Company. We have with us tonight Clay Chandler from the Klein Company, along with Lisa Porter, who is the regional property manager, and Charlie Madden, who's been our engineer, to help answer any questions you all may have tonight. And I just really want to thank staff. This project has been in the works for actually about 2 years now. The company has owned this property about 10 to 12 years. So what's being presented tonight has been massaged by your staff over many months, and we're really proud to present it tonight. The first item on the agenda is the request for the comp plan amendment, and that is taking 24.81 acres that's at the corner of Broadway and Oviedo Mall Boulevard and changing it from office and commercial to mixed use. The second item, I don't know if you want me to get into it yet, is the rezoning, and that's rezoning the same property from OC and C2 to planned unit development. And if you don't mind, Mr. Chandler wanted to give just a brief presentation on the Klein Company and some of the projects they have done previously. Thanks.
I'm Clay Chandler with the Klein Company, and the Vice President of Development for the company, and I want to reiterate what Rebecca just said, and we do want to thank staff tremendously. Staff has been helped as we've moved this through the process over a period of time. I really wanted to just give you a brief introduction to the company so you know a little bit about who we are. A lot of the builders are more merchant builders, so they don't become a member of the community, but not merchant builders. One thing that really distinguishes us from most companies is that we build, we own, we manage what we build. So once we build a project, we tend to own them for the long haul, and that's part of our corporate strategy. Is we very slowly and very steadily have been building the portfolio of the company. The company was started 40 years ago by a man named Stephen Klein, and he started the company by buying an existing apartment community, and the company still owns that 40 years later. We still own that community. For the first 10, 15 years of the company, it was just all acquisitions, and then at some point, Stephen really wanted to build his own properties, and for most of the time the company's been building properties, I've been involved with the company. I've got about a 25-year relationship with the company. This particular project. There we go. This particular site, I'm sure you're familiar with where it is. We're right there where the red pin is. We're we're just on the other side of the expressway from where the mall is located. That was a number of smaller properties that we acquired, put together to create one bigger site. Our company builds apartment communities. That's what we do. Like I said, we build them, we own them, we manage. And that's one of the reasons that we have Lisa, our regional property manager down here, is that she will also be involved in the long term with this project. And so as we build it, as we staff it, as we manage it, she will continue to be involved with it. We put the property together, and then we talked a number of years ago, at least 10 years ago, we talked to the city about possibly rezoning that. But at the time, you'll recall there was talk about a hospital might wanted to relocate into the area. Our site was big enough to hold that hospital, and so all of our plans basically got put on hold until the hospital figured out what they were doing. That obviously has finally been resolved, and they're across the street from us now, they're just south of us, which I think opens up the opportunity that we're seeing here now to do a really good mixed-use property, a mixed-use development where there's an opportunity for office. We're proposing 100,000 square feet of office. Could be medical office, could be other kinds of office, could have a little bit of retail on the ground floor. We're looking at apartments. There's clearly a growing and building need for first-class, grade A property for apartment communities here. And also we're proposing, as you know, as you've seen in the plans, we're proposing a hotel site on the corner, which we're hoping we can land. And we've used an existing footprint of an existing hotel. And we don't have a deal for one yet, but once the property is further down the road, we're hoping we can make that happen. The best thing that I can do for right now is I just want to show you some of our other projects, and I use that caveat that stockbrokers use, where they say, past performance is no indication of future performance. But I think we have a track record. We've built a track record. So this project has not been fully designed. It's not been, and that will come as we move down the road. But I think you'll see from the pictures that I'm going to show you of the communities that we've built, the kind of quality that we believe in and that we push and that we fight for. We have a project, if you may or may not have seen it, it's over in Maitland. It's called Dwell. It's the original Dwell. We've built a second one. In 2 weeks, we're going to build our third Dwell project. They're all individual. They all look different. They've all been individually designed. But this was the first one. It's right behind the RDV Sportsplex in Maitland. We opened this at the worst time possible. This got opened up in 2007, or was it 2008? But it was right as the Great Recession was kicking into overdrive, and people thought we were crazy. But we believed in it. We went ahead and opened up the project, and lo and behold, it filled up. It filled up fairly rapidly. It filled up well. And this project has been a phenomenal success for us. We're pleased with it. It's very urban in style, and yet it's got some very homey features. This is a picture of what it looks like inside. There's 2 courtyards inside. This one has the pool. Another one has sort of a Zen garden. The Apartment Association of Greater Orlando, they give out their Golden Key Awards every year. And over the last 4 years, we've won 14 different awards, including Luxury Community of the Year 3 times. Best Curb Appeal has won that twice. Best Interior Design, it's won that twice. Service Technician of the Year, we got a couple of times. Groundskeeper of the Year, and we're very proud of the people that we hire who maintain these properties for us. We've also, on 2 different occasions, gotten the Best Social Media Campaign. The next project, so that's in Maitland. Within the next 2 weeks, we're going to break ground. We have fully approved as of last week, and within 2 weeks, we're going to break ground on Dwell at Lake Nona. It's on Narcoossee Road, on the east side of Narcoossee Road. And it's 275 apartments. And similar to this site, it was rezoned so that we could do an apartment community there. It's got 50,000 square feet of office, retail, commercial in the front. We're in the process of trying to lease the office, retail, commercial. It's also similar to this property where the Oviedo property, we're proposing a 4-story building in the front up along the road to give it a very urban feel. And then behind that would be three-story buildings. And in Orange County, actually, in their comprehensive plan, they require that it transition because there's a lake in the back, and across the lake is rural settlement. And so they wanted us to transition down. So we actually are building 2-story townhome-style product in the back. But this is a rendering of the 4-story building that would sit in the front. This property has been designed to Florida Green Building Coalition standards so that it can be certified green. And this is from our landscape architect. I just wanted to show you that. The white blob in the middle that's the floor plan for the clubhouse. And I don't have the elevation of it in here, but it's a state-of-the-art clubhouse. We not only have our leasing center in there, but we've got the fitness facility. The fitness center is in there. We've got a game room. We have a business center, and in a first for us, we were putting in a sports court. Outside, we're putting in our first zero-entry pool. We've got an area of sand and palm trees with hammocks and an outdoor cabana with barbecues and some other poolside cabanas. A project that we just finished a year ago is Dwell in Cherry Hill. This is in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's also a Dwell product, but it had different architects. It's got a different look to it. It's kind of got that vertical breakup like you would have with townhouses, but those are actually all flats. It was designed to meet LEED standards, so it's been certified LEED Silver. And then finally, just a story that we don't tell very often because we don't blow our horn very much, but this one was a phenomenal evening for us. In 2011, the Apartment Association in the Philadelphia area, which represents, there's 6 million people in the Philadelphia area and hundreds of apartment communities, they were giving out their apartment living awards, and they decided that year to do it differently than they had done it before. They brought in a jury from out of state so that the jury would not have any preconceived bias. And then their assignment was to figure out and award the 10 best apartment communities in the Philadelphia area. The Klein Company, we were amazed that night as we sat there. They awarded the Klein Company 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th places. And again, they didn't know who owned them. They were just numbers. They had no idea who the owners were. Nobody knew this was going to happen. But it was, it's a testament to our management and the way that we maintain these properties. And when you own the property and you know you're going to own it, you treat it a little bit different. People ask us, if we're going to care about something when we build it. Well, if you own it, you do, because you know that whatever you do, you have to live with. So these properties that won that award these are three of those 4 properties are properties that I personally developed: Thomas Meeting, Chestnut Point, Walnut Crossing. They're in a different community, in a different area, with different height restrictions and different density requirements than what we're looking at here. But our properties are all tailored to the communities they're in. We want to fit in. We want to be good neighbors, and so that's what we were working towards with all these properties. So let's line this back. That was what I wanted to present. If you have any questions about this, I'm glad to answer it. Otherwise, I'll bring Becky back up.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Any other questions of the applicant? So I have one. Could you? So the only part of the project that right now that you have plans for is the apartments. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I understand what plan for. So when we get into the zoning, we have requested 3 specific pods be identified, one across the front, which is the hotel, and we don't have a contract with anyone right now since we don't want to be that presumptuous, since we're just now here asking for those approvals. But so that's for a 108 hotel room, hotel. And then we're also seeking approvals for 100,000 square feet of office, which Klein may develop in conjunction with someone, or we may have someone else build that. But, and then in the rear are the requested 300 residential units. So it is, Klein is a residential developer, so that is something that we would do, but certainly these would come out of the ground and have been designed to come out of the ground as soon as we have those deals available. So once we get these approvals, we have a hotel interested, we're happy to go ahead and start that. We've worked with staff, and then will further be refined in the next set of plans that come to you all on what infrastructure needs to be in place as each of these comes in, so that you don't end up with pads that are sitting there looking vacant. But we want this to look like it's part of our community too, because if the hotel doesn't come in first, we're going to be leasing units behind it, and so we want everything, of course, to look nice when we're trying to do that.
I have a follow-up question.
Mr. Lopez?
Sure.
If in fact you don't get a hotel flag on that parcel, what's your plans for that parcel at that point?
To do commercial. So part of that.
What
part-
type of commercial? I mean, that's a
Retail.
very vague, in my mind, it's vague.
Retail commercial, so what would be allowed in the C1 uses that are.
C2.
C2, I apologize, C2 uses that are set forth in the code. And we capped our floor area ratio at 0.36, so that would generally be a one-story development. But that's not what we want to do. We want to do a hotel.
I understand.
And we believe there's a
What-
need for a
Well,
quality
I would
hotel.
agree, but I also know the reality of what the flags are looking at as well, as probably you as well know what flags look at. And this is,
Well, we think that being between the hotel and the mall certainly helps with the hotel.
what time frame are you going to give yourselves for that cutoff point if you don't get a flag?
Gosh, I don't know if we thought,
We have actually the luxury of some time on that one. The way we would build this is that the apartment community will actually come first. And the way we build the apartments typically is we just start building and we'll build them as fast as we use them up. But typically we just build a whole project without phasing it, and that's what we're doing down in Lucy Road. So we'll build that. That gets the traffic light there, which we'll put in place, and that's in the development agreement that we would help with traffic lighting. We will, once you establish the presence there, and again, the hotel's going to go on the corner, but once you've established the presence, that actually makes the leasing much more. People can see that there's going to be all of people living there, both for the office and for the hotel. But our primary goal is to get the apartment community so we have time. So what we'll do is we'll start marketing that. We're not going to build a hotel on spec. We have this franchise and some.
You need a flag.
Do that with us. So, I'm sorry?
You need a flag.
We need a flag.
and so, the estimate is by 2017 is what we submitted in the CD. So along with that, but your point is you already own the property. It's not like this is something you already own. So any assistance you all can give also
So-
on helping us with that.
Hotel flags are they're crazy at times. You don't know where they're going.
They run their own numbers, and they know where they want to be.
If the hospital was built already, it'd be an easy sell.
And it might have to wait until the hospital expands a little bit. But clearly, we think the market will be there. We have the luxury of being able to do it.
Fair enough.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right. Staff?
Yes, if it's okay with the board, I can do both the comprehensive plan and zoning map amendment presentation at the same time. you still have to take the two separate actions, so you would have to open up the public hearing for each item.
Okay.
Is that okay with the board?
Yes, that's.
Okay. This is a request for the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board to recommend adoption of an amendment to the city's future land use map to change the future land use designation of approximately 24.81 acres from office and commercial to mixed use. The subject properties are located on the north side of Oviedo Mall Road and on the west side of Broadway Street. Comprehensive Plan Policy 1-1.1.4 requires the city to evaluate the criteria listed in your staff memo when considering a comprehensive plan amendment request. The results are listed in your staff report. The purpose of the amendment is to designate the subject properties with a mixed-use district future land use designation. The current zoning districts for the subject property are OC, Office Commercial, and C2, Commercial. Concurrent with this future land use request, the applicant has filed an application for a zoning map amendment for the subject properties from OC, Office Commercial, and C2, Commercial zoning districts to Planned Unit Development, PUD, compatible with the mixed-use future land use designation. As required for a PUD zoning map amendment, the applicant has submitted a development agreement and a conceptual development plan. The development agreement and conceptual development plan are included in your packet tonight. The proposed development includes a 100,000 square foot office building, a 108-room hotel, and 300 multifamily dwelling units. The impacts of the proposed future land use map amendments were conducted comparing the maximum allowable density and intensity of the existing future land use designations to that of the intended development for the subject property. There is adequate capacity to serve the development within the planning horizon of the city's 2025 comprehensive plan. The proposed mixed-use future land use designation is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations, zoning districts, and existing uses. The Development Review Committee considered the subject comprehensive plan amendment request at its July 17, 2014 public hearing, and thereat recommended adoption. It is recommended that the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board recommend adoption of Ordinance 1590. With the zoning map amendment, it's a request to amend the city's official zoning map to change the zoning of approximately 24.81 from Office, OC, and C2 to Planned Unit Development. The applicant wishes to designate the subject properties with the PUD zoning district consistent with the mixed-use future land use designation and compatible to the surrounding zoning districts. Land Development Code Section 4.6C and D require the review and approval of a development agreement and conceptual development plan with the PUD zoning map amendment. LDC Section 4.6C2 requires the development agreement be included as an exhibit in any ordinance adopting an amendment to the official zoning map, which changes the zoning of a subject property to PUD. The applicant has submitted a development agreement and conceptual development plan for inclusion into the ordinance. The proposed development, as mentioned in the first presentation, consists of 300 dwelling units for the multifamily parcel, 100,000 square feet of office uses, and 108 rooms for the hotel. The analysis of the change of zoning is based on the intended development per the proposed development agreement. There is adequate capacity to serve the development within the planning horizon of the city's 2025 comprehensive plan. We provided for you on the dais a copy of what the DRC did at their July 17, 2014 public meeting, and I wanted to go over that with the board. So if you can take that out. The DRC recommended a number of changes to the development agreement. They also recommended changes to the conceptual development plan. Do you all have the memo in front of you? Okay, so if we can look at the development agreement, it is attached to the memo. On page 3, of the development agreement, in the phasing table, which is E, under the phasing 3 for the hotel, the floor area ratio was changed from 0.25 to 0.36, and this was a recommendation from the DRC. They felt that the 0.25 was too low of a floor area ratio in a mixed-use development, so it was changed to 0.36. On page 4 of the development agreement, under item 2A, the floor area ratio was changed from 0.25 to 0.36. So you'll see that reflected in item 2A. And then in 2B, under allowable uses, which is the last sentence in B, it was changed from OC to C2 to allow for more flexibility of uses. And that goes to Mr. Lopez's question. In the event that the hotel isn't able, they're not able to locate a hotel there, they can put any use that's within the C2 zoning district on that parcel. And then on page 5, the DRC added retail sales, ground floor only, no outdoor storage, and this is under 3B. And they also added beauty salons, barbershops, ground floor only. On page 6, under item C, signage for multifamily parcel 1A1, the square footage was changed from 32 square feet to 40. It was increased. On page 7, the DRC added language that says 1 square foot per building front foot, not to exceed 100 square feet. The language that was there previously just said 100 square feet per building. DRC added, which is consistent with the Land Development Code, 1 square foot per building front foot, not to exceed. So they added that language. On page 8, under B, where it says B, building wall signs, the DRC added the 2 square foot per building front foot, not to exceed. On the same page, under office, which is 3A, the number of signs was changed from 2 freestanding signs to 3 freestanding signs, which is consistent with the conceptual development plan. The conceptual development plan shows 3 for that parcel. So the development agreement was amended to show, was changed to show, reflect what was in the conceptual development plan. Okay, on page 9, I'm sorry. Page 9, under B, where it says building wall signs, we added the 1 square foot per building front foot, not to exceed. That language was added there. And on page 11, under G, transportation 3, there was language that talked about entering into an impact fee credit agreement. And so that language was deleted to reflect that the developer may enter into an agreement as opposed to an impact fee credit agreement. On page 12, under I-1C, where it talks about multifamily parking, which is the minimum parking, multifamily parcel originally said 1.65 spaces per dwelling unit. The DRC felt that that was a little low. The applicant had studies to show that 1.65 was adequate it was changed, the DRC changed it to 1.75, and the applicant agreed. The applicant has agreed to all of these changes. And then on page 13, at the top where it says number 4, the developer shall provide a minimum, and it originally said 10 bicycle park spaces within the project. That was changed to 40. And then there was a minor change on M on that same page of architecture. That sentence originally read, all buildings shall comply with architectural requirements of the city's LDC except as amended herein. The DRC deleted except as amended herein. The next changes are on the conceptual development plan, and basically on the conceptual development plan, it was changed to reflect the dedication, which is on page sheet S-01. It originally said that Sugar Mill Road was going to be vacated. It was an old plan. They revised it to show the dedication to the city, so that was changed. And also under sign A, on the side over to your left of that same sheet, S-01, originally said 32 square feet, and it was changed to 40 square feet to reflect DRC's recommendation. The applicant concurred with the DRC's recommendation, and the changes have been incorporated into the development agreement and conceptual development plan. It is recommended that the PZA recommend adoption of ordinance numbers 1590 and 1591. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Mr. Lopez?
Just to follow, I know you said they've agreed to all the terms and changes. Just for my own ratification, on page 5, when it comes to restaurant drive-throughs, bank drive-throughs, they've agreed to no drive-throughs at all?
Yes.
Are they going to be able to come back to us and say they want to drive through?
If anything changes in the development agreement, it has to go back before the boards that approved it. So it would have to go back before the DRC. It would have to go back before Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board, and then City Council.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, please.
Go ahead. Mr. Adele?
What is the maximum height of the building?
Of the buildings,
The maximum height? I see it's 78 feet. Page 7,
I don't believe it's changed. I think it's 35 feet. I don't believe the applicant has, let me look real quickly before I,
78?
what page is that on? On page 4.
Page 4.
Okay. Yes, it's here. It says 78 feet.
How many, is that 4 stories?
4 stories,
Um,
approximately.
That would let you build higher than that. We're currently proposing just a 4-story building there, but the 78, I think, is just based on what the mall's like. So it's sort of uniform zoning height across the board. But we're not actually planning on
How tall are you planning on going?
We just had this issue on another project. Do you recall, what was the height of the wall? There was something like 55 feet to the top of the parapets on that elevation that I showed you. I think it's about 55 feet to the top of that parapet.
Okay, thank you.
But I see in the LDDC, the maximum height is 35 feet.
Oh, excuse me. That's,
Can't talk about it once it's in
yeah, that was on the multifamily. The hotel potentially could go taller. The hotel, in fact, the footprint that I used actually is a 5-story hotel. So they could easily be in the 60 to 70 foot range for those.
Ms. Pierre?
Uh-huh.
What is the maximum height of the buildings on Oviedo in the park?
They range. Each, there's sub-areas. I'll have to look in the land development code, but there's sub-areas. Okay, in the new downtown village core, the height is 65 feet. In the new downtown district to the west of the village core, the height is 35 feet. And then to the east of the village core, it is 45 feet. So they range.
So to the west of the village core, the 35 feet, is that the residential area?
Yes. It's south of Lindsay Lane, yes.
Okay. And then the village core, then what's on the east of the village core? Is that the office space or the retail space?
To the what side? I'm sorry.
The east side?
The east of the village core. It's vacant right now, but it should be mixed use.
Mixed use.
That's closer to Kingsbridge.
Right, okay. All right.
But according to LDC, it is that the maximum height is 35 feet. So the deviation is about 100% now. The required deviation is 100%. And
Did you say deviation?
yeah, the maximum height in LDC is 35 feet. So it's 78 feet. The division is about 100%.
When you're dealing with development agreements, it's a negotiating tool. So it can go as high as the city is willing to approve. It's not necessarily a deviation. It is a negotiating tool. So you can put things that are not necessarily allowed for with the administration of the regular code into a development agreement. You can do that. So in this case, it's not a deviation. It's just that it's not the standard height that's allowed for in the land development code. Actually, in all other areas outside of the mall and outside of the Oviedo on the park, it's 35 feet. The height is 35 feet. We do allow for, like, the First Baptist Church. Their steeple is a lot taller than 35 feet. But this is a development agreement. So this is where they're going to establish their zoning for the property, which will include the height.
Are there any other questions of staff? All right. Okay, the first item is ordinance number 1590, CPA Oviedo Luxury Living. What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion
Mr.
that we-
Chairman, did you open it up for the public?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I open this up for public hearing? Is there anybody wishing to speak on this item? No? Okay. All right, I'm going to close public input. What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve item 1590 for adoption.
Okay, I hear a motion. Is that with
With the
the,
approval of the DRC.
Mr. Chairman, you will have to take them separately. The first
Yeah, we
item
have
is
one
the
plan.
comprehensive
oh, okay,
plan,
that's 90, okay.
and then the second item will be
Okay,
the...
sorry,
Sorry.
okay, 59. I hear a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No, thanks.
You have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I agree with
Okay.
Seth.
All right, I'm going to discuss this real quick. This is a comp plan amendment that will put more residential, more high-density residential in an area that was zoned for office and commercial space originally. We don't have much land in Oviedo for office and commercial space that's available, that's large enough for this. I believe that this land was also part of the Seminole Way initiative on this. I feel like the, adding more residential and more high-density residential to this, to this area is a mistake. That's my personal opinion on this. And also, I don't, the phasing approach with the residential, being the first phase, then the office, and then the hotel or commercial if they can't find the hotel. They're coming in, they're building the residential, and they're not doing the office space in conjunction with it within the same phase. I mean, that stuff could or may never be built. Especially, with a maximum height of 78 feet for an for the residential areas is what I read that as. Hotels can, usually be that tall, but for the apartment complex basically to be that tall and to have, it just doesn't seem like it fits with the look of the city. I mean, even the apartment complexes in Oviedo on the Port, as she said, were only 35 feet. So I have a problem with, doing this zoning right now. But, that's my opinion, and, if there's any other discussion items on that.
Well, I tend to agree with you, because we really need more commercial office space in Oviedo. And I, like you, would also like to see more development on the office space side than residential. I don't even know where the status is right now of Oviedo in the Park, if they're even rented all out yet. I don't think they are. And here we are looking at another development. Obviously, from looking at their properties, I took the time to look at your properties. I am originally from Jersey in the summertime, so I know Philadelphia quite well, or Philly as we all like to call it. Those properties are nice, and I think you would do a good job with the residential, but I think what, we really need more is more office spaces. I mean, like, Seminole Way is in that corner, and we're phasing it more into that, and then with the hotel, with the hospital coming in, I think we're going to need more office space, especially to accommodate the specialties that are becoming into that area. So, though I have mixed emotions about it, I would like to see the hotel come as well. I'm just not ready. I'm not convinced yet myself that we're in a prime position to approve for a more multi-tenant property at this time. That's my personal opinion as well.
Any other comments?
I hear what you guys are saying. Again, we have a developer here coming in who, by all accounts, has done things right in the past. In listening to them speak, there is a 78-foot height in the agreement, but they were just talking about 55 feet. They're over in the mall area. There's other development back behind the mall. We do need more commercial. I think, as everybody else has said, and even they have said, when the hospital comes in, that is going to help grow that area. We may be stagnant for a little while. These guys have sat on this property for 12 years, have not looked to flip it. Again, have done all the right things. At this point, I have no reason not to take them at their word that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. I'd love to see some commercial come in as well, but they've got to do what they feel is right and what they believe they can get done. So I currently am in support of this going forward.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just add, we were excited about the mixed-use development because this is our first mixed-use future land use designation ever in the city of Oviedo. And one of the things that we as a city we're looking to do is to become more of an urban city. And that means a place where you can live, work, and play. And with the hospital coming, we are anticipating that people will live will at least live in the apartments or live somewhere close by. So you have the office, you have the hotel, so people can come, stay at the hotel and visit relatives at the hospital, and then you have some place for the employees to live. With the mixed use, you can only have a maximum of 50% of that property designated as residential. So the other 50% has to be designated as non-residential. They cannot go into more than 50% of that site as residential. And so we want to see the density in that area. We want to see it because, as you remember, we've had work sessions about going to more form-based, more density, more. So this is what you see tonight. You're seeing that mixture of uses that we have been talking about, been having work sessions on. So this is what you're seeing tonight, the mixed use. This is a horizontal mixed use and not necessarily a vertical mixed use, but in the comprehensive plan, it does allow for both the horizontal, which is your uses, your residential, your commercial, your office, spread out, but it's still in close proximity. And then you have your vertical mixed use, which even in the downtown, you're seeing more horizontal mixed use than vertical. We're hoping to see more of a vertical mixed use where you have the retail on the bottom and residential on top. We're hoping to see that. But the future land use designation allows for both. So we are excited that this is our first mixed use project with that future land use designation in the city. So that's where we were coming from with recommending approval of it.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Adele, do you have anything?
Some questions. Is in table 2, page number 7, I give the height of the office and the multifamily is 78 also. Is this correct? Page number 7.
Page number 7.
Yeah. Table number 2.
You're in ordinance 1591.
91, yeah.
Okay, we're working
We're still on
we're on,
Yeah, we're
we're on
still on the
15.
first one.
We're on the first one. We're doing
Oh,
the
okay.
comprehensive plan.
Okay, sorry.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to expound on, I guess, what I had said before, or expand, being in healthcare, while it's been some time since I've worked in a hospital, I think we can all think of where the local hospitals are. And within 5 miles of there, any one of the hospitals, there's at least one, if not 2 or 3 different hotels. Some are in downtown Orlando, so yes, there are more hotels in that area. I worked in a trauma center. People coming to visit their families needed a place to stay, and they needed a place to stay on short notice, and they wanted to be right next door. Getting back into what they had talked about before, I totally believe once the hospital is here, that hotel is going to, some hotel is going to sign on to that property because that hotel group is going to know that at any given time, 10, 15, 20%, depending upon the level of acuity of the patients in the hospital, are going to be filled by hospital family members. Unfortunate situation, but fact of life. Again, it's with that type of reasoning, knowing the hospital's coming, I truly believe this will help build out the rest of this project and have, I feel we're okay in this situation.
My concern isn't the hotel. I believe that the hotel is needed in the Oviedo area, but I feel like the residential, the apartment complex over there is it just I feel like that land with a hotel and office space would be much better suited for that than to have the residential space there as well. I mean, there's other residential areas around there, and maybe if it was you know, residential space that was actually owned by the residents as opposed to an apartment complex. It's just not, to me, that piece or that piece of this project just doesn't seem like it fits with, you know, with that area. So, I mean, that's my opinion on it. Are there any other discussion? All right, call the vote. All those in favor of the motion, as stated by Mr. Lopez, it was a motion to approve with, ordinance number 1590. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Let the record show it was the motion passed 3-1. All right, the next item is ordinance number 1591, the zoning map amendment. What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sheridan?
I will go ahead and recommend the adoption of ordinance number 1591 with the DRC recommendations that have been accepted by the project.
I'll second it.
Okay, I got a
Mr.
motion.
Chairman, I'm sorry, you'll need to open it up for the public. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
And the
Okay.
applicant has also mentioned that they would be willing to reduce the multifamily height. So you'll want to talk with them about that now that we're into the zoning.
Okay.
So you'll want to open it up for the public.
Okay, let me open it up to public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Yes, this is the, yes. Get in there for him. Can you, I think she needs to do a state her name and address for the record.
Yeah.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for the record?
Drop that down. There you go.
Marlene Hampton. We have the property on 1419 West Broadway, which is right kind of in front of that area. We didn't know anything about any of this until just this last week when these notices got posted, so we don't have a whole lot of information about this. The only objection that I think I would have, and I've talked to some of the other business owners along there, is probably that height requirement. You know, all of us know that it's going to change, that there are things that are going to go back there. That vacant property won't stay vacant forever. But that height requirement, 78 feet, is just a lot. You know, I think if it was limited to a 2 or 3 story property, I think that would be fine. But it's the 6 or 7 story that I think we would have an objection to. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. All right, anybody else willing to speak? All right, I'm going to close. I'll call you up as soon as I close the public hearing. Okay, I'm going to close for public input. Go ahead, the applicant can speak on this item.
Thank you. Just a couple things that I wanted to address. We're also excited about the mixed-use prospects, and one of the things that I'm a member of the Urban Land Institute and also a member of the Congress of New Urbanism. I'm a sort of a devout new urbanist, and what new urbanism talks about all the time is doing mixed-use communities, trying to get people close to their jobs, trying to make communities walkable, and that's something that we've been trying to do here with the idea that the hospital would be across the street. So the idea that people could live here in the apartments and that you would have technicians and nurses and doctors that could live right here in our community and then walk across the street and go to work and go to their office building next door. That's the ideal. That's something that we look forward to. I mean, that was built into the idea, but we need partners to do the offices and we need partners to do the hotel. In order for the office to get to the 100,000 square feet, which is a lot of office, it's a lot of office to fill, we would need, I think we can do that in four, we think we can do that in 4 stories. 5 stories is actually better. It gives you more flexibility depending on what they come in with. But we wouldn't need more than 5 stories. The hotel, I know from the footprint that we used, that's a 5-story building to get to the 108. I don't know what the height requirement is on that. It's not 78 at 5 stories. Usually, if you assume you got 12 feet per floor, then that would be 60 feet plus parapets on top of that. And I don't know how your code defines roof. I've run into trouble where I've been given a definition of roof where it says everything has to be below that, and then sometimes they say, well, parapets are okay above that, or if you have a pitched roof, that can be above that. The question is where you draw the line. Now, I don't need 78 for the apartments. I'm happy to cut that down. The problem I ran into at Lake Nona was that we ended up spending weeks talking about the parapets. I can get that 4-story building under 45 feet, but then the parapets, to get that nice look that you saw in that drawing, the parapets stick up above that. They stick up, I think, another 8 feet. So that got me up to, I think, 53 feet. If you wanted to cap that at 60 feet for everything, I can do that. I can fit everything under 60 feet. So there's a better number. I'm really not proposing more than 4 stories. I don't want to go more than 4 stories. And that's only one building. That's the building that sits up on the front. And frankly, from the day we started these conversations, we were encouraged, and I think it's in your I'm pretty sure it's in your code. I was encouraged to get density up on that road to make it more of an urban village. And that's a new urban concept that I know the planning department has thoroughly embraced, and they've pushed me towards building a taller, higher building up there on the road, and that's what I'm doing. The buildings behind that, as you get more to the north, those would be 3-story buildings. It would be more in the character of what you're normally thinking about. So, so I'm happy to lower for the apartments. If you want to throw a number out there, then there's a number I can live with. If you want to say, give me 50 feet for the not including, like to the eave line. 50 feet, or if you want to give me 60 feet to the top of the building, I could probably live with either of those numbers. But I don't want to have to come back and get a variance because I can't put my parapets on, because the parapets are what make the building look as good as it did in that drawing. So I'm happy to work with you on that. I will tell you that I've already met with brokers who are interested in the medical office, and they can't begin to sell it to anybody until I've got zoning. So this is the first step we got to go through, but I've met with 3 different brokers who are very interested, think that there's a real opportunity here, but I got to have something to show them, and I can't show them anything until we get past this step. So that's where we are. If you have questions, I'm happy to talk about it.
I have one question. The phasing approach, can you phase some of that office space in with the residential?
We're proposing 2 phases. What I've said all along is that we're not going to build it on spec. I can tell you that I will market it as soon as we get it zoned. I can get a sign up there. That's exactly what we did down in Lake Nona. I got the sign up as soon as the zoning was in place. Actually, I had to get some nice, pretty drawings to show people what was possible there. But as soon as that was in place, I got the signs up. Frankly, people are still waiting for the traffic light to show up so that they can see that the turn's going to be in there, so that once the traffic light's in there, it's a corner property. I can't say that I'm just going to build it, because nobody's going to give us money to build a building on spec. If I have a lease, if I can get a majority of that building leased, that building will get built.
All right. One other question real quick. You have the Phase 1A and Phase 1B. You have I guess it's broken up into 150 units each. So you'll build the first one and then wait to fill that before you do the second one?
We're keeping the door open for that possibility, but we've never done that. We just build. If you do that in 2 phases, there's a mobilization charge, so it just adds to the cost of it. The reason I've got there is because we just went through a Great Depression, a Great Recession, not depression, but a Great Recession where the market just became a disaster. So I want the ability to be able to stop it in case of an unforetold catastrophe. But we have never done that. All the projects I've built for this company, I built 6. We just started at one end and we built till we were done. And frankly, the last 2 projects we built filled up just like that. The one in Cherry Hill, that was full. That was fully leased before it was finished, and it was fully occupied within 2 weeks.
Any chance of adding the 50,000, the office space on the 1B?
If it happens, we'll do it. You know, we're businessmen too.
Right.
I mean, there's enormous value in those offices.
Right.
And I'm there. And if you, like I said, we'll do the deals with the brokers. We'll get the signs up.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Any other discussion, or, I'm sorry, any other questions of the applicant? No? Okay. Does the staff have anything else to add to that? You've already done the presentation, correct?
No, I don't have any more to add.
Okay. All right, public input, okay. What's the board's pleasure?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I do have one more thing to add. Because you have already recommended the mixed-use future land use designation, the only zoning district that is consistent or compatible with the mixed use is planned unit development. That is the only designation, zoning district that is compatible with the mixed use. We don't have a mixed use zoning district, so the only zoning that is compatible is going to be your planned unit development.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, and that's what's, okay. All right, what's the board's pleasure?
He's already made the motion.
Did he make the motion on this part?
And I second it.
That brought up for discussion.
We have to redo it again?
Well, I thought we had
I
to
would,
open it up.
because it wasn't open for the
Yeah,
public
it wasn't
yet.
open to the public. I think we
All
had
right,
to.
so do it again.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Sheridan.
I will go ahead again and recommend adoption of ordinance number 1591.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All right, any discussion?
I have one question. Are you all going to recommend the reduction in the multifamily height to 60 feet? Does that include that?
I was going to leave that up for discussion here. That was going to be a question.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Well, okay. All right, if you want to, so the motion's on the,
Right
the motion
now,
that's on the
motion's
table.
on the table with the DRC changes, applicable changes that were agreed upon already.
Okay. All right, any discussion?
I'm good.
I'm good the way it is. I mean, we can't, I mean, I know you have a concern about the phasing of the project. And and it's hard to, build a baseball field and hope that everybody comes and plays on the field, but,
But they did.
But, it's a little bit different than building a 5-story or 4-story commercial building without, without being substantial, especially this, we're just coming out of this recession or depression, whatever you want to call it. So I get that part of it. It's easy to build residential. I get that as well, though. I'm, would like to see the commercial be built first, but I'm realistic as well. But I don't have a problem with heights at all. I mean, personally, we can even go higher on the buildings, on the commercial, be better, because it increases the tax base of the city anyway. And it's cheaper to build higher than it is to go out wider. So that's my 2 cents.
Any other discussion? All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 No, disagree.
All those opposed?
I disagree with this.
Say no.
No.
Okay, let the record show that it was 3-1 with Mr. Adele stating nay. All right, that's all the items that we have on our agenda today. anything, any other discussion items that anybody wishes to discuss?
Future meetings.
Okay, all right, the future meeting, the next meeting would be August 12th. Is there anything going to be on that?
We don't have anything right now.
Okay, all right. Let's see, thank you. All right, I think that's for the future meetings. These items will be going to the city council
On August 4th.
on August 4th, both
Yes.
of them? Okay, thank you. All right, do I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Nervous. You did good. You did good. You did good.